Welcome back to the Gothic Heart. Today is going to be a really fun episode. I've got an amazing artist here whose art would look completely in place anywhere in my house based on my decorations. His aesthetic matches mine that closely. So I'm really excited to bring him here just to talk about, even working as an artist and the themes that he brings into his artwork. So right here, we've got Brett Kelley. And Brett, thank you so much for being here. So if you would introduce yourself and tell us all the things about what you do, and then we'll dig into all the fun stuff.
Sure. Thanks so much for having me. It's been great chatting with you, even the preamble. But yeah, my name's Brett Kelley. I go by BK Artworks online. And I'm pretty much have just been a lifelong illustrator, kind of professional creative, almost like I've thrown around the terms like I used to call myself an art mercenary because I used to do just strictly freelance work for a long time. So I would do all sorts of graphic design. I was heavily involved in the steampunk scene from 2009 to 2014 or so. I also call myself a blue collar creative because I work a day job, but I also do a whole bunch of creative stuff on the side or my night job, basically. And yeah, I do a little bit of everything. So I've done this. Right now I'm kind of working on my own professional personal body of artwork. So I'm doing a lot of art books, a lot of enamel pins, a lot of stuff reflecting Celtic Gothic fantasy. I love Halloween, Dungeons and Dragons, music, specifically heavy metal, and alternative music and whatnot. And I'm a big old goth kid for going on about, I want to say 20 years or so. So yeah, I have so much to talk about because normally as a goth kid, you have your core group of friends, but it's kind of hard to find people out in the world that you can really just casually discuss goth and goth culture with. So I'm very excited to talk.
And that is so true. It's a theme we're constantly talking about here on the Gothic Heart, especially for at least like you and I, who, back 20 plus years ago, it wasn't like that, right? Now, at
Yeah.
least today, we can, with the internet and, meet up or Facebook groups or things, find like-minded individuals. And we talk a lot about how the world is more accepting now than they were back then. And I've
Yeah.
talked about all kinds of, stories of people who, didn't understand or didn't accept, or it's a
Yeah.
phase or this or that. And it's, yeah. So, yes, you are in the right place here. And what's just even more exciting is it took me all the way till in my 40s now to embrace my interests in a professional way, with my business, sort of going
Awesome.
on. Even when I launched this business, I was still, I make custom fine jewelry. I forgot to tell you that. But when I did launch it, it was still, bridal, or I can do anything. Yes, anything, I can do it. And for some reason, I don't know why, because my favorite ones to do are the more Victorian Gothic lace alternative
Mm.
interests with the dark stones and things like that. And so finally, I was like, why am I still doing this? I mean, I was an attorney, I was in operations, like there were reasons I
Wow.
couldn't be so expressive, but there's
Sure.
not now. So I'm in the midst of a full rebrand and developed a whole new collection along those lines. So,
Nice.
like I said, it took me all the way till now. I mean, I personally accepted myself a long, 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 long time ago and didn't
Sure.
care, right, about everyone
Yeah.
else. But as far as professionally, so I love that you have a whole career around it, right? So that's what's really exciting, and that we can show our listeners who maybe hopefully could do it before I did, with themselves, either professionally or whatever they're planning on doing. So I would
Sure.
love to hear how you got into, that I just talked a whole bunch, how you got into, art and just the more eerie, goth, macabre, sort of design aesthetic.
Sure. Yeah. I'll try and give you like the Cliff Notes version or best I can, truncated. But I grew up. I was um I was diagnosed at a very young age with ADHD. I was diagnosed at age 7, which could be I was diagnosed in 1990, back when ADHD was still kind of it wasn't really like as well known of a thing. It really wasn't as
Hmm.
explored. So growing up with that type of stigma definitely had an effect on me growing up as a kid. Like that really already put kind of like he's the kid on drugs, go hang out at some other table type of thing. So that was kind of like the uphill battle I had when I was first growing up. But even before then, the one thing that I got really good at that nobody yelled at me for was drawing. And because they were like, because once everyone found out, I was like, oh, he doesn't cause property damage when you put a pencil in his hand. Just have him keep doing that forever. So I was like, all right, cool. So that was kind of like the one thing, one of the few things that I used to do that seemed to kind of garner a positive reaction. Whereas in a lot of times, sometimes when you grow up, if you're in an environment where like your ratio of good to bad interactions with people is too far in one direction, sometimes you kind of especially with the negative, like my negative interaction with people versus positive was like way higher. So kind of like drawing did a number of things for me. It helped me kind of process my emotions. It gave me an outlet to kind of make things and produce things in a way that other people appreciated. And then as I kind of got older, I sort of became very physical. ADHD, there's a lot of like elements of it being very hyperactive and very like full of energy. So I was doing sports, but it kind of wasn't really great at it, and really didn't. I was doing it to appease, to make other people happy. It really wasn't that big for me. But then I fell in martial arts when I was in high school. And once when that happened, I started hanging out with like other martial arts heads. I became a black belt in Shaolin Kempo. I found like my people, which is great. And while I was doing that, while also drawing and working on stuff. As a matter of fact, the first commission I ever took was painting a studio sign that is still to this day at the studio that I got my black belt at. And it was like a 4 feet by 4 foot wooden sign that I painted that was like the logo of the studio, which was really cool. And so yeah, that was like the first thing. So I managed to find ways to join and merge my internal world of being a creative and drawing and creating these characters and stories with also just being utilitarian and being able to provide artwork for other people when they would request it, which became a lot more. And then I went to college for illustration because it was like the one thing I was really good at and the one thing I really, you know, the one thing that I would really study and my eyes wouldn't glaze over. So they were like, all right, that's cool. But then when I went to college, I found out that there was a local theme park hiring stunt performers for a stunt show in the area, and I was like, oh well, I do a lot of stuff, and I taught myself how to do extreme martial arts, and like tricking and stuff like that was still very new in like the 2000s. Because the internet really hadn't kind of like YouTube had come out like 2003, 2004, so I was still like learning all these things kind of internally. But then, yeah, so because of that, I joined the circus, as they say, and became a stunt performer for many, many years, and worked in the theme park industry. And that's where I found like even more people that were just like me, that were creative, had different ways of looking at things, and people that I could actually collaborate on. It's kind of like I joke about like I had, how there are people, I don't know how often, like you hear the stories of people that are like, oh, high school was like the best years of my life. And then you have people, but then you have me being like, I don't know what, I mean, I'm glad you had a good experience, but I can't say the same thing for me. My star level is way lower than yours. But like for me, what I think what most people would consider like their high school years were my years when I was in college working at this amusement park, because I was with my people, like people that I came into work, we had fun, we were creative, we came up with things. And then literally like they do Halloween stuff in the fall season. They're like, oh, Brett, like you draw and you draw scary stuff, right? And I go, oh yeah, I sure do. We go, have you ever drawn scary stuff on a face? And I go, no, but I am very open to this. So like they trained me and I got into that. So I slowly became the head makeup artist for this theme park for a number of years, and then worked with an airbrush and made zombies, painted 200. Me and a team of 10 people painted 200 zombies a night for every weekend for many, many years. So, but yeah, so I guess the thing I've left in my very long drawn out. This is the truncated version, which is even scary to think. Sorry about that. Um, but I gravitated towards scary things just because, like, even when I was little, like, I loved Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is kind of like strange. So I drew those for a while, but then I started drawing skulls, and that's just kind of like the heavy metal and like listening to music and stuff that really just propelled me. And I didn't set foot into my first goth club until I was 19 years old. And in the goth club that I went to, actually, which I feel this is a thing that not a lot of people can say, the goth club, the organizer that ran it, is still running the same event today, 21 years later, which is great. Still in the same area. Like, it's just monthly now. Before it used to be weekly, but now it's by the month, but they're still going strong. So, but yeah, I have a lot of yeah. So that's kind of it.
It you literally just spoke half my life there too, which is so
Awesome.
bizarre. Listeners, like I didn't know a lot of those things that he just said right now, but I was actually in the circus, like the actual circus, it's called Cirque San Jose. It was like a Cirque
Oh,
du
that's
Soleil
awesome.
type of circus.
Yeah, yeah.
When I was younger, after I had quit gymnastics, I had been an elite level gymnast. So that's
Wow.
funny when you say that. So I had been in the circus, and then I was actually a makeup artist and a licensed makeup artist, and did theater makeup and bridal makeup and all kinds of things too before I went to law
That's
school. So
amazing. Wow.
it's just like, and then I would always go to, there was it was after I was 21. I don't know how you got, but I think we're only like a year
Sure.
difference hearing you speak
Yeah,
in
I
age.
just turned I
Um,
just turned 40 this past year, so I've been
okay,
trying to crush
gotcha.
40
So
this year. Yeah,
I graduated high school in the year 2000. So like,
yeah.
it was still, I mean, yes, Britney and people had come on the scene, but there was still a lot of alternative grunge and things. So when
Oh
I
yeah.
did become 21, there was still, like you said, it was weekly. They would have a metal night, and occasionally they would have a goth night. And those were always the nights I went to because I listened
Nice.
to my metal music. That's my love. It always has been. That's all we played at our wedding when we got married.
Oh,
We had a Halloween wedding
I
13
have so
years
many
ago
questions
on the
for you.
haunted Queen
Yeah.
Mary, which is a permanently docked ship in Long Beach, California. Lots of haunted horror stories that go with it.
Nice.
Um,
Oh, that's awesome.
and yeah, and it was fantastic. And the the funny thing is that there would be goth nights periodically, and yeah,
Hmm.
they stopped it. I mean, it was a long time ago now, but those
Yeah.
were some of my funnest times. Like I didn't even really go out until I discovered that core like group of people, because it wasn't my
Yeah.
thing, it wasn't my music, it wasn't my, so that's
No,
really
I don't.
funny, like right there with you. And I always, from a young age, always liked the spooky as well. Always. It's like
Awesome.
my
Yeah,
first grade books are like The Witch's Brew, and all you see
yeah.
like are like pumpkins and cats and things that I would draw.
Yeah.
Um, Not an artist like you, different kind of artist.
It
I'm
still
like,
counts. It's creative. Like with
yeah,
yeah, like you make up. I still very much think that counts. Actually, like the question I was gonna ask is like, did you have a hyper fixated band that you had a T-shirt for every day of the week for? Out of curiosity.
band. Well, actually, yeah. So my favorite band in the whole wide world,
Hmm.
still is to this day, is Gravity Kills.
Nice.
Um, Okay, see, you actually know who that is, but
Oh
okay,
yeah.
so I never missed a thing all the way up until they broke up in like 2002, 2023. I saw every
Yeah.
show. I went to everything. Sacramento. When I was in Chico, I even had my sorority sisters come into the show that they were
Oh
doing with
wow.
Pigface. It ended up getting canceled. I mean, this is so many years ago.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
and I hope my listeners don't get bored because this is my favorite story in the world. So one of their music videos, Love, Sex, and Money, I'm actually
Mhm.
in second 53 and a half for like a
Nice.
second, from one of their concerts. And I don't know, maybe like 8 years ago, the lead singer, Jeff Shell, must have posted
Mhm.
it or did post it on his Facebook, or Gravity Kills' Facebook, whatever it was, even though
Mhm.
they broke up in 2002, 2003. So they haven't been
Yeah.
abandoned forever. And I
Yeah.
had reposted it onto my page being like, hey, look at me. And I woke up the next morning to a friend request from him. And it was
Sweet.
like, it's like the most exciting thing ever. Anyway, long story short,
That's so cool though.
we've been, just in contact over the years.
Sure.
They put on a show, a reunion or one show in November 11th, 2023 in
My
St. Louis.
birthday. My birthday.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
That's
So
that's weird. That's so good.
I took my oldest child, who was 8 at the time,
Mhm.
and my husband, and we went out there and did the whole I mean, I did my front row, I did my everything like I've always done my shows. And afterwards, we were trying to go find him and everything. He came and he picked up my daughter, and he's like, "Hi, Clover. I've known your mommy Amity for a long time." And it was just like crazy, and his daughter and his wife, and like it was just a really fun experience. So Gravity Kills, definitely my favorite band of all time. But when they broke
That's
up,
incredible.
I had my second and thirds moved up, who were Static X and Dope. And then we
Nice.
had a Static X disaster. I did see them while I was pregnant with my oldest the
Oh
last
wow.
time. It was the
Cool.
same year. And then Dope. I mean, I will never miss a Dope show. And then by extension,
Yeah.
the Static X revival show, since Edsel is playing
Oh yeah. Did you
is
see their
playing
recent? Did you
Zero.
see their recent? Did you see their recent tour? Or did you get to see them when they were on their recent tour?
Mhm, I did.
My
Yes.
friend actually created the walk-on character, the Static X, the Wayne Static, the head in a suit, like that character. That was my
So
friend.
the one that adds Zero, or
Yeah.
the guy that comes
Yeah.
on with
Zero.
like the round X and does the weird things, or the guy that's singing?
No, 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 not
Zero.
no, yeah, no, not zero, not Zero's makeup, but the mascot that comes up on the
Oh
stage.
yeah, with the little X, and he
Yes,
has like
yes,
the shovel during the
yes,
yes.
yes.
Uh-huh.
My friend designed that for them. He did work for them. Kyle Pajuli
That's
out of Decimated Designs.
amazing.
Yeah, it's super cool.
And then
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say my
all
my
of these.
band my band was Korn. Like that was like the first band that I really got
Well,
into.
that's
Yeah,
like I saw Korn and Rob Zombie together my junior year of high school. So like
nice.
I don't know, 98 or something. I mean, I've seen Korn several times. I saw Korn and Disturbed in the early 2000s. I mean, I've seen
Yep.
Korn a lot of times, but I mean, Jonathan Davis is like one of the ultimate. Like my
Oh yeah.
kids, we play Korn in this house so much that they know, like they regularly know Korn and like Marilyn
Nice.
Manson and like dope songs. Like they
That's
know,
great.
I mean, they're into a whole different thing, but they know them because we listen to them so much,
Sure.
which is I have a video of she's my oldest, but she was probably like 4 in it.
Mm.
It's a dope song that we're dancing to, and she's like, it's like one of my favorites.
That's so
And
good.
for listeners, I was headbanging wildly with my tongue sticking out, or you
Yeah.
can see it on the YouTube. But this is totally not what I expected us to talk about. Talk about
Sure.
music, but we both like we're like the same
Oh,
person,
yeah.
had the same life, weirdly, all the way across
Yeah,
the country
you're
from
the
each other.
exactly. You're the center of the I'm the East Coast. You're the center coast. That's a word I'm
Well,
making up now.
now,
That's
but
yeah.
most of my life I was in California.
That's right. Yeah,
So
West Coast then. Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's so cool.
that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, okay, so we know a lot about how we got to where we are, right?
Yeah.
Since we had
Because
a lot of parallels.
yeah, and I can actually pinpoint the exact song that I remember listening to when I went to a goth night for the first time that made me go, I went up to the DJ and I was like, what is this song? Like, I need more of this song. And it was Panzermensch by And One. Like, that was the song.
Interesting.
So, like more industrial
Yeah.
dance, not of EDM, like, electrobotany or whatever you call it now, and probably lumped into EDM, but yeah, that was the song. And then obviously, then I just branched off in all sorts of stuff. But yeah, that was the song that got me like, I want to come back to this every single night. I kept listening to more. And obviously, Nine Inch Nails was actually like one of the first cassette
Huge.
tapes I ever had. Pretty
Who
Hate
is now
Machine. Yeah, Pretty Hate Machine. That was the one that got me. And I was like,
and
all right,
I just saw that Nine Inch Nails is doing the soundtrack for the new Disney Tron.
yeah,
And I was like, are we about to come full circle back around?
I hope so.
Like,
Yeah.
me too.
I thought like
I-
Trent Reznor did the soundtrack for the
Yeah,
Teenage Mutant Ninja
Facebook
Turtles
movie.
movie. Yes, and
Oh,
yeah,
and the Ninja
the
Turtles, yeah.
network.
But this is
Yeah.
actually Nine Inch. I mean, I know Trent Reznor,
Yeah,
same
that's
thing, but
yeah,
this
it's
is
Nine Inch
actually
Nails
like
proper. Yeah,
Nine
yeah,
Inch Nails branded.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
we might be able to get a little more. I mean, Gravity Kills was always compared to Nine Inch Nails too, but I think
Yeah.
Gravity Kills was like my gateway band to get
Sure.
into. But
Yeah, yeah.
like the first dance at our wedding was to Sweet Dreams, Marilyn
Ooh,
Manson's
nice.
version, and
Oh,
just
that's
I mean,
awesome.
we had all kinds of. I mean, definitely some Gravity Kills in there for sure, but
Sure, of course.
all
Yeah, yeah.
kinds of things. But I love seeing them. Like, I mean, and I love that a lot of them are still bands, whereas you can't say
Yeah.
that for a different genre, right? Like I just saw Il Nino again, and the first time I saw
Oh.
them was probably in the '90s, and I just saw.
Yeah.
Who did we just see? I didn't just see, but Cold Chamber. Not that, I mean, like
Oh,
they're
so good.
around, which is
Oh, yeah.
crazy, right?
Yeah, this is
Compared
still
to like
Visual
other
Cold Chamber,
bands
yeah.
that,
Yeah.
yeah. So really special that like we get to like at least grow with them, right? But now
Yeah.
I went to one of my favorites. Well, it's hard. One of my absolute favorites is Head PE, but then sometimes they do weird albums that I do not like. They get off on an interesting type of music, and when they come back,
Yeah.
then I'm with them again. And
Oh,
when I
sure.
go to their concerts, I mean, there's a lot of me's there, but then there's a lot of like high schoolers. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what happened?
Well, if anything, it just kind of shows that, like, even though times change, like, there's still like those archetypes or those experiences that still shape people that are like us, that keep that people like us are still out there. Like, it's not like we're just singular in the universe. And that's kind of a nice thought to have, I think, sometimes.
It is, and it's back to, like, the cycle, like, that it goes around, and
Yeah.
weirdly enough, I was wearing my yesterday, my dad is visiting in town, and he had taken me to a Smashing Pumpkins concert in '94, and I was literally
Nice.
wearing the shirt I got there.
Oh,
Like,
cool.
I keep my clothes till they break, like, this is 1994, but
Yeah.
it was Smashing Pumpkins and Garbage, I remember. Like, that was still what I was like, I hadn't learned about Gravity Kills yet, you know, we were
Mm,
still in the alternative getting there,
sure.
phase.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
okay, well, we know a lot of our inspiration probably comes from our music
Yeah,
then,
yeah.
which is, I think, how this whole came up.
We're very close.
How
Yeah.
this whole thing came up. Well, because I was gonna talk about our inspiration and things like that, but I
Sure.
had seen, so back to your art, because we're here for your
Okay.
art, not for our music.
Sure.
I mean,
No.
well,
Yeah.
music too, but I had
Cool.
seen a lot of really cool things when I was checking out your art. Your Oh my gosh, and I didn't write down what it was called, but, like, you have a name for it where you do, like, the houses in cool
Oh,
different
Surreal Estate.
ways.
Yeah.
Yes, Surreal
Yeah.
Estate, that's exactly what it is, I didn't write it down.
It's,
And, like, you oh, it's right there, okay.
yeah, yeah.
So I thought that was really cool, and how you put together, like, little booklets, and you do different zines, like, I thought this was all really unique, because
Oh,
any
thank you.
artist I've had on here before has really just been, like, art, and then they sell their art in, like, sort of the one format, and you also do the pins you had mentioned, so,
Yeah.
I'd love for you to just share for any other, like, aspiring artists, or even just people who find it interesting, like, how that all came about.
Sure. Yeah, I'm more than happy to. So, and actually, one of the reasons why I was really super excited when you I saw your kind of call for guests was because of, like, it talking about individuality and authenticity and kind of like being yourself. Like, I honestly, through art is really where I was able to maintain that. I mean, also socially as well. Like, it's kind of one of those things where, like, I inherited a lot of different qualities from my parents, stubbornness being one of them. So, like, it's kind of one of those things where not a dominant, but, like, it's there, which kind of helps you, you know, it helps give you, like, a balance to yourself when you want to do something, even when everyone else doesn't see what you're seeing. You just kind of push through and kind of focus on what speaks to you, and you just kind of hope that through that process other people will either connect to it or at least will appreciate it for what it is, even if it might not be something that they might have thought of themselves. But all that to say is that I grew up, like, really influenced by comic book culture for sure. Big into Spawn, like Spawn was, like, I was really big into Todd McFarlane stuff, and everything through Image Comics I was really gravitated towards. And then growing up, big into animation, cartoons, anime. Like, all my, like, I had a couple of friends that were like, "Oh yeah, we're big anime heads. We like Pokemon." And I'm like, "Oh, I just found out that they have anime about gigantic mecha robots and demons that fight each other. I'm kind of be over here. Like, no disrespect, Pokemon still rules, but I want to see Gundam and, and Outlaw Star." So, like, but because of that, I was influenced heavily by those, in addition to music. But it was kind of like I grew up, and I don't know if this might even ring true. It was just a thought that popped up where I think that's kind of rung true through me throughout my entire life growing up, and then even with other people now, is like, I've been told this by more than one occasion, is that we didn't know what to do with you. And I don't know if that is a thing that resonates with you, where it's kind of like you have an idea, or you think, or you're doing something, or you're just kind of existing, and everyone just kind of is like, uh, okay, like, doesn't really have, like, a lot to, like, back and forth. So because of that, I was kind of left to my own devices, which means I was able to kind of draw from a lot of inspirations from, you know, martial arts, heavy metal, horror, Halloween, Dungeons and Dragons, all that stuff. But what drew me into kind of creating these unique things, all of these things that I've been working on are kind of in slow burns. Like, up until, I want to say, up until 2011, I'll say conservatively. Until 2011, I was kind of just still honing my craft, still drawing. I mean, I graduated from college in 2007, and then I was working a lot. I'm just trying to keep, because like I said, I'm blue collar. I don't, everything I make, I'm self-sufficient. I pay my bills, don't have, so, like, I have to focus on doing that. And unfortunately, doing artwork up until in the way that I do it, it has not gotten me up to that space yet. But over the last few years, it's been really exciting because I just gravitate towards what I like, and recently I got really into big collecting pins for your podcasters. Over here, I'm pointing with my pencil. That's my enamel pin collection that I started back like maybe 2017, 2018.
Enamel pin collecting is a big thing,
Oh
and
yeah,
I'm not
but
even
yeah,
part of that, and I have a lot of enamel pins.
yeah, and I literally looked at them like like I looked at some of my favorite enamel pin collectors, and I was like, I want to do that. So then I eventually got my hands on the iPad that I'm recording with you on right now, and what I got Procreate, and then started learning how to create digital, like converting a lot of my digital work because I was trained traditionally. So I love the tactile nature of creating my own illustrations and whatnot. So that's why I've kept that through Surreal Estate, and basically, no, I don't want to drone on with like a really long story, but it's a very fun story, and I'll try and I promise you I will try and be short-winded. But what
We
brought
like
around
fun stories. It's
the
okay.
bit, what brought about Surreal Estate in a weird way was that in 2019 there was an art museum called the Brooklyn Art Museum Sketchbook Museum, and nonprofit, but it was literally a library where artists from all over the world could submit sketchbooks, and then they're archived into a library. You can go to this library and you can check out a sketchbook from any artist in the world. You can just thumb through it. You can check it out and you can rent it or whatever. And you can put it back. And it was really cool. It was like that for like 17 years. So I popped on, and unfortunately, because it was in Brooklyn, and then in 2020 they did a thing called Tiny Sketchbook. Like it was big because they were, after a couple of years, you want to come up with a fresh idea. So they were like, oh, you can fill out a really tiny sketchbook, like literally maybe the size of two quarters on top of each other, like that small, like literally like this tiny. And so I filled that one out. And that was the last one I did for them. They filed it online, and then obviously 2020 hit, and then everything kind of happened. But then in a random chance in 2020, literally earlier this year in April, I went on a vacation with my family to go visit my youngest brother, who has since moved to Tucson. He's a barber, really great guy. Runs a barber shop in Tucson, and never visited him before. So I was like, "Yeah, let's go." So I went, and I was like, "Oh, I'm taking my first vacation in my adult life because I work. I'm hourly." So uh, in my head, I was like, "Oh, if I have a week, like I got some time to like really catch up on some like little art ideas." I really want to revisit that Surreal Estate idea I did because it only existed in this tiny sketchbook, and I found left it in 4 years ago and didn't think of it anything. So I went to the website to check because they have everything logged online, and unfortunately, I find out that in 2022, 2 years prior, the sketchbook museum dissolved. Like they basically, the owner was like, I'm kind of pulling up anchor. Things just we really couldn't make it through, and then there's a bunch of other stuff that happened. We're moving the collection over to Florida, and apparently in the process of moving like 20,000 sketchbooks accumulated over a decade and a half of operation, the trailer caught on fire. So they were like, "Oh, in Jersey." So of course, so they didn't even make it that far. Like they were trying to ship it down to Florida. But so they were like, "All right, a small percentage of the collection was damaged, but everything else, the owner was like, I don't have the money to deal with this anymore. Sorry, I'm pulling the plug. We're shipping the collection to 4 different places across the United States and Canada. If you know an artist that did it, go reach out to them. We can't reach out to that many people. Like this is the message you're gonna get. Terribly sorry. This is a memorial page, so no one to complain to. My bad." So I was like, "Oh, that stinks." So like, well, where'd you send my artwork that I wanted to look at? And they were like, "All right, so we sent this here, we sent this there, we sent this where, and then we sent the tiny sketchbook collection to the Tiny Art Time Machine in Tucson, Arizona," which is like, are you like, you couldn't write this? Like, I was like, is my life a sitcom right now? I'm having a sitcom moment right now. So like, so I call up the place, the Tiny Art Time Machine. I call them up, and they're like, and I'm like, "Hey, this is gonna sound weird, but 2 years ago, did you get like a boatload of sketchbooks for no good reason?" We're like, "Yeah, we did actually. Are you one of the artists?" Like, "Okay, yeah." Like, "Well, what's your name?" "Oh, Brett Kelley." They look, and they're like, "Are you from Northampton?" I went, "I am." They go, "Yeah, it says in the itinerary your name's here. Like, it should be here. Do you want us to mail it to you?" And I was like, "Hey, I'll just come over next week and pick it up myself." So, like, I literally, like, my family just brought it out, and, like, I showed up, and, like, it was in a group of 800 sketchbooks. The curator Man, I think Emily, I believe her name was. Awesome. Like the whole, it's an amazing museum. If you're in Tucson, if you haven't been, go. It's super amazing. They have a collection of every single Halloween Town little miniatures that they make that you show up in Michael's every year. They have a collection of every single one, in the entirety, in a gigantic diorama. It takes up the entire wall. It's amazing.
I
It's
have
so
a big
cool.
collection, but not
Oh,
every single one.
they have
It's awesome.
they have the initial line that came out, and then they added on a bunch of them. But yeah, that's like a mainstay. But it's so cool. So like my family, who like I kind of grew up the odd duck of the family. Everyone else is into sports. I'm the artist, so it was very weird. Where they're like I told my family, I was like, hey, like if we're in town, can we like go visit this place? Because apparently my artwork's there, and they're like, well, what? Because like they only know their relationship to me being with art. They're like, oh, that's just the stuff Brett does when he's sad, or like that's just the stuff Brett does in his journal, and then they just kind of stay there and nothing really comes of it. So like this was like the first real world occurrence where they were like, we're going to see our son's artwork that's in a place that exists. So that was very nice and rewarding in that way. But like it showed up and like they found it. It was in a group of 800. The curator just grabbed three at random. It was the third one she picked. Once again, ridiculous. So like once that happened, I was so inspired by it. I was like, I have to revisit this work because I didn't have the heart to take it away. I was like, this is so like this is so just what's the word I'm looking for here? So synchronous or like so serendipitous that I was like, I don't feel right. Like I left it there. It's still there. They're going to be doing something with it. I just don't know what. So, but I saw it and I got to refresh my memory on all the work that I did. I was like, okay, that's what I did. So then I went back home and literally I made 40 illustrations in 3 weeks. And then I found a local printer, got a quote for a book, funded the book myself, had a book launch. I had 50 copies made. I've sold about 40 of them so far. I have 10 left and I've sold about half of the originals. But yeah, and it was just a fun exploration of like on my family's Irish heritage, both sides. My I believe my mother's side is from Cork, and my father's side is from Limerick. For anyone who is well versed in Irish geography. But yeah, so like I just really like doing that. Fairy homes is kind of like a big prominent thing, and Gothic fantasy and stuff like that. Gives me an excuse to draw a lot of things like houses, organic architecture, skulls, and then just getting to do a lot of fun like illustrations of animals and stuff like that. So it was just a really fun. It was a really fun project. I'm actually expanding on that for a big art project I'm doing called Monster Arts Project that's happening in October, which I'm going to be, and the theme of that is Secret Garden. So I'm actually making more pieces in this style. One of which, actually, I'll be a sneak peek. I've been working on it. Not quite as tiny, but a lot bigger, but still with the same amount of detail. Like, so
Yeah.
yeah, this is like like a 14 or 16. I have to ink it all, and I'm going to be coloring it. But yeah, so that's the whole. That's like I'm making a couple pieces this size. It's gonna be a lot. It's been a lot more labor
Nice.
intensive than doing the tiny ones, but it's been so
The tiny
satisfying.
ones for sure. Listeners, if you want to see that sneak peek, you're going to have to catch it on YouTube because I don't think we're going to be able to convince him to let us post a picture.
Not yet. Like they will. I will definitely post a
Exactly.
picture once when I. Yeah. Man, I'm the worst at keeping secrets because I'm always like whenever I make something, I'm excited to share like with my close friends that I made along the way, and they're very supportive. But like this year was the year where I was like, I turned 40, and I was like, this is the year where I really want to pull out all the stops. I've been doing commission work for everyone for like 2 decades. I want to make my own work, make my own body of work, which is really what inspired, well, the enamel pins, which I've been making since 2021. And I actually have a brand new one coming out. It's not Halloween themed, but it's definitely more like Gothic occult-ish a little bit. So that one's
All
coming
right.
out. I'll be debuting at the end of this month at RPM Fest, which is not to bring it back to music, but I'm taking a chance because I think you might know this band. But one of the lead bands playing headlining is Prong. They had a song "Snap Your Fingers, Snap Your Neck." Yeah, they're playing.
Well, I used to back in, the 90s and early 2000s go to every year of Ozfest. So I would
Oh yeah,
see all of these bands.
nice.
They were, if I didn't see them there, they were at some
Oh yeah,
large thing that I've been there. But yeah,
yeah.
at some point,
And they
try
have
to catch
and
everything.
the lead Jamie Josta from Hate Grade. He has a solo project. He's going to be playing there as well. So like I'm going to be dropping that at that festival. It's a 3D festival. I'm actually running a D&D, like a live play event there, which we'll see how it goes. It's just gonna be a ride of chaos because like yeah, as a matter of fact, like once again, more behind the scenes, I'm drawing a battle map custom. That's like that map that you see right in the hallway way down there. That's like a 4 foot long by 2 foot wide battle map. Because it's gonna be the silliest thing ever, but it's been a lot of fun working on that. So I get to DM on a microphone, get to be goofy in front of people. So, and I haven't done that in a while because I officially retired from like theme park work in 2018 because I was getting a little bit older, and that was actually when I was making enough money from my personal work that I just I couldn't I couldn't ignore my personal work by going to the park anymore, unfortunately. Like, it was
Sure.
a heartbreaker because like, I love that job so much. Like being an actor, like I would teach people how I would teach people how to do makeup. I would do makeup myself. I would teach people how to haunt. I would engage with people how to create characters and stuff. But yeah, so yeah, that was a really long
Sounds like
story.
so much fun.
It was a lot of
And
fun.
half of what, not half, but a little bit of what you just said, not like a few months ago, I wouldn't have understood. But
Oh,
I had epic sages on mine and went on theirs and learned so much about TTRPG that I knew what
nice,
you were saying when you were like DM and all
awesome.
these things. So I'm a little impressed with myself right
That's
now.
great. Yeah, yeah, it's so fun because and now in my old age, now my bones are so beat up from being a stunt person and jumping off of things and getting blown up by superheroes 5 times a day. Now I have to do all the cool stuff like through math and numbers and dice. So, but it's like I love D&D as a facet for creativity because like it's just it becomes a language of creativity that you can share with other people in terms of world building. And like doing character creation is like my favorite thing all day. Like I've turned a lot of my midway monsters into D&D characters. That's just super silly and fun to do. And communal storytelling, like it's another facet of being able to connect with other people in ways that are very unique. You know what I mean? Like yeah, but it's kind of what like yeah, it's kind of like making your own version of Lord of the Rings and then just playing through chance using dice, and then having those same memories and moments with people that you're close with or people that you will become close with through the experience playing. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I learned so much about it. Like, even like, I feel like it would be a fun way to connect with my kid. I mean, not with D&D specifically, but with
sure.
tabletop RPG, connect with my kids or something as they get
Oh
older.
yeah,
But yeah, I've been starting to learn so much about it. And
nice.
something you said, not necessarily about that, maybe like a few minutes ago,
Sure.
about and then you were like, no, I just have to make what I like, etc. And
Yeah.
you like kind of lit up. And it also sounded like that was the turning point when you started getting more commissions and more business for art or more requests. And in my mind,
Mm,
that's like you started being more authentic to yourself, more self-expression, right?
yeah.
Instead of holding it back for what people might like, right? And then
Yeah.
the right people found you.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. For sure. For sure. I mean, I'm very blessed in the sense that over the years of knowing a lot of people, especially working at a park where you have a lot of rotating cast members and stuff like that, I've been able to meet and become friends with a lot of really cool people, and a lot of those people, I'm very grateful enough to have seen the work that I make and really enjoy it and like consuming it. So like right now, I'm kind of in I'm in the artisanal small batch era of my art career where I'm like, I'm making these 50 things and then they sell out. Or I'm making X number of things for a one time only and then people will buy them. But yeah, like, and the biggest thing that I'm working on right now, outside of all that, is that I'm revisiting a small idea I did called Gore Folk Fest, where it's a thing that I stumbled across. It's one of my favorite things because it marries my love of Halloween. Fun backstory for me: I was allegedly supposed to have been born on Halloween, but I slept in. And my family was like, "We don't want our firstborn child to be born on Halloween. We don't want to," because
It's like the
they didn't know it
dream.
was me. You know, they didn't know it was going to be me. They didn't know. So like now looking back, they're like, "Yeah, it actually might have been better for your brain if we popped you out on the 31st." But and all that to say is that when I made my first enamel pens, the flapjack specifically, as a thank you for no, I'm sorry. I had started this with the second design. Well, I actually have one in right now. By like flapjacks 3x3, the 3 inch wingspan, 3 inches tall. But then I made the follow up design, Billy Jack, which is similar in size, so that way they play, but they're horns instead of wings. But when I made that one, as a thank you to everyone that ordered a pen, I did a little drawing of a pumpkin person, kind of like a scarecrow with a pumpkin on his head. Very, Jack Skellington in the first when you first see him in Nightmare Before Christmas. Also, probably a
Yes.
really big influence that I didn't mention before, which no brainer on that one.
It's your signature then.
Yeah, that's a given. Yeah, exactly. That's your free space on the Gothic bingo. But so but yeah, so like as a thank you, I would draw like, oh, it's a witch, oh, it's a little clown, it's a little like spooky. This one looks like a 1920s flapper, or this one looks like a steampunk guy with a meat cleaver, or whatever. And people enjoyed those so much that and it only take like 15 minutes because I'm a little piece of cardboard insert, like a little chipboard insert, I hop them out. I crack one off in like 15 minutes, thank you, whatever, and I posted them, and then people were really excited. So then I made like 8 of them at the beginning of October last year, and then I was like, oh, $10 a piece. Like I just threw out a number, and then I sold 8 of them in literally within minutes, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I made and sold 72 illustrations in the month of October last year. So
And we're coming up.
yes, and actually to preamble, once again, I've been talking about how I'm bad at keeping things under wraps. I was a good Goth this year, and I've already made my first art book for Cord Folk Fest 2024. It's 52 images, 26 pages for the book, 7x7. I'm actually going to be dropping it off on Monday to my producer. I think I'm going to be running a Kickstarter for it this year, just to kind of be able to concentrate orders. But yeah, and then I'm going to get that kicked out of the way, and then I'm going to do another one in October because I love punishing myself at work.
Well, yep.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I'm doing my whole relaunch to be relaunched October 1, right? I
Yeah.
want to take advantage of it. I don't want to wait a whole nother year. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, my designs are, of course, year-round perfection.
Yes.
But there's always going to be, it's always just, October is always going to be that for businesses like ours. It's just always going to be.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can't stop it. There's evergreen, we're ever orange.
Oh, there you go. Oh, I love that. Oh, I'm totally going to use that.
Please do.
I love that.
That just popped up on my head, so feel free to use it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I was actually going to say, like, do you
so
feel...
we have lots of work to get done before October.
Oh,
Lots.
Exactly.
So we've just been rambling on, but there's so much good stuff in here, and I can't wait for everyone to hear about what you have coming up too, because I'm really excited to see that too. And you also have something dropping at the end of the month, right?
Yeah,
anybody who's looking to... Oh no, go ahead.
No, I think I said them all anyway, so please go right ahead. Didn't mean to interrupt.
Okay. Well, just anyone looking to grab any of these things, you heard him. He doesn't make a whole lot, okay? They sell out right away. So definitely we're posting all of the links for everything for Brett below, all of his social media, his store, everything, so that you can get on any lists or make sure you know when things are coming so you don't miss out, or even just check out how cool his work is. Brett, while we're wrapping up, is there anything I might have missed you want to share with everyone?
No, not at all. Just honestly, it's just been a joy talking to you. Like I had the Will Ferrell moment where like when you started talking, I was like, did we just become best friends? What's your favorite dinosaur?
I know. We had so much in common to talk about too.
Yeah, I was
It's
like,
crazy.
I want to start a podcast with you.
There is sort of a thing for people like that were in high school in the 90s. Like we will have a lot of those same experiences that people can't understand, but not so much to the like circus and everything like that.
Oh yeah, no. Like I would love, I would love to do it. Like part of my head is like, I want to start a podcast with you. It doesn't have to be for long, but just because I feel like we would have so many crazy stories that we would be able to like talk about in terms of like our worlds being that close and being like, oh, that'd be so fun.
We absolutely would. Like a limited stretch, like a limited series or something.
Miniseries in comic book terms.
To be continued on that discussion.
Sure.
But so again, we'll post everything below. I love when I have guests. I mean, I've said this a million times, but I love when I have guests because I always like learn all these exciting things and I get to go research it and everything. And I have a basic idea before the guests come on. But they're always different and interesting and in new ways showing people, right, how we can be our individual self and how it's actually a positive, right?
Yeah.
In no matter what, no matter how, and um how being how authenticity, especially in this day and age with how much we share with the world and social media and everything, authenticity is really special
Yes.
for, when people try to hide things, right? So that being your authentic self, I think, is better now in this day and age than it ever has been. So, and
Yeah.
you've definitely helped spread that message, which is what we're always trying to do. So
I certainly hope so.
again, we'll have all the links below. Any dates, anything that you want to go to. So definitely, listeners, if you could please, if you want to see something, head on to YouTube. I know I usually post pictures of everything, but those were sneak peeks, so I'm not posting pictures. So want to see them, head to the YouTube. Otherwise, definitely like, share, subscribe. Definitely share. Okay. You know that there's people that that are going to find something fun with the episode that we just recorded, or find something cool about Brett's artwork and share it with them, or that they live nearby and can go to that cool music festival that he's going to be at. So that's how we keep all this going. And that's how we get to keep doing those fun things and bring on these fun guests. So that's it for today. We'll see you on the next episode. Bye, everyone.
Bye.